link, so I wasn't able to do that.
He got you. Perfect. All right. All right. Cool. All right. All right. So let's do this. I don't see.
You don't see my name.
I don't see your name.
Okay, good. That's fine. I can see it. I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, no, I do. I see it there at the bottom. Okay. Yeah, perfect. Yes.
Okay.
Love that. And let's see. So when you're ready, we'll go ahead and get started.
I'm ready. Always.
Ready?
Always ready. I stay ready.
Yep, stay ready. You don't have to get ready.
That is right.
Yep, let's do it. All right, NYB community, welcome. Episode 272 of the Minding Your Business podcast, entrepreneurship, real estate, trending news. There's still no business like minding your own. Even after all this time, I love saying that. There's still no business like minding your own. Listen, check me out, Champron, at Champron on all social medias. And don't forget, champ10k.com. I love saying that as well. Champ10k.com. That's where you can get all my information, all my links. Shout out to Sean Lasley. That's the owner of 10kcards.com. Make sure to check him out if you're looking for your digital business card. This is 2021. The best thing you can do is have a digital business card. You want to be in people's phones. You don't want to be that card that's sitting on the, on the coffee table and that sort of thing with the cup that puts the wet ring around it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. What you want to be able to do is you want to be in people's phones. That's what they have with them all the time. One of the best ways to do that is to have your digital business card. It's okay to have the printed ones, but have your digital business card as well. And you'll be well equipped to go do some serious business that I know you all want to do. Subscribe to the podcast 5-star, wherever you get your pods. That helps us to continue to grow the podcast community. And of course, again, champ10k.com. Listen, I am extremely excited about this guest today. I've been waiting for this all week, y'all. And y'all know how I get, but I've been waiting for this all week. It's raining outside here in Memphis. Things are going on. There's all kind of news going on with all kinds of things, right? But I was really looking forward to this. So shout out to Olivia Mongro, who is a great friend of the podcast. Make sure that you support her. Her information is in the show notes. So make sure that you support her. She's a great friend of the podcast, as you all know. If you remember episode 100, she came on with me. We got a chance to cut up a little bit. I'm going to make sure to bring her back because I know y'all been asking for her. So I'll make sure to have her back. But I'm excited about today's guest. Novelist J.J. Winston joins us from the Cleveland, Ohio area, which is an area very similar. We were talking offline to Memphis, and a lot of great things going on. And she's, doing some tremendous things, as an author and as a licensed independent social worker and as an attorney there in that area. So make sure you go to www.novelistjjwinston.com. Make sure you do that. Don't slack on that. Okay. When you get done listening to the podcast, your next move, if you want to know what to do next, get off the podcast, go to www.novelistjjwinston.com, and then follow her on social media, Facebook, Instagram, at novelistjjwinston. Make sure you do that. Let her know that you heard her right here on the Minding Your Business podcast, and send her a nice, pleasant note. Okay. Make sure you do that. And we're going to get into her book. So hang tight. Yeah, I know y'all get anxious. Y'all hurry up and get to it. Yeah, y'all get anxious. So look, hang tight. We're going to get to it. Okay. Mrs. Winston, thank you so much for joining here on the Minding Your Business podcast. We're so glad to have you.
And I am so very glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we're glad to have you. And joining us on a Friday, no doubt. There's a lot of things that you could be doing, but we really appreciate you being here. And we look forward to learning from you a little bit today.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to teaching if I can.
As you do. Absolutely. So, Mrs. Winston, let's get right into it, right? For those that aren't familiar with you, share a little bit about, kind of your origin story and how you got to where you are today.
Well, thank you for asking. But just to tell you a little bit about myself, I got into mental health when I basically decided to do this when I was a young person. When I was
Mm.
in high school, my peer committed suicide
Oh,
when I was
no.
15.
So in
And
high
I was
school.
high school. And,
Wow.
actually what happened is me and her had a really bad argument. We weren't really close friends, but we were acquaintances. And we had this
Hmm.
really bad argument. And
Oh,
a couple
no.
of days before she killed herself, she came and she apologized to me for our fight and asked
Mm.
me, could we be friends? And I forgave her for the argument. And I said, yes, we can be friends. And I gave her a hug. And a few days later, she shot herself in the head. And
Oh.
I was so traumatized by
Mm.
this. Initially, I wanted to be a computer programmer,
Okay.
which is completely different than mental health. But
It is.
after this happened, I decided to dedicate my life to children.
Okay.
So I went to college. I got my degree in social work. And for years, I did work with children. I worked in the
Okay.
foster care and adoption system. And I went and I got my master's degree. I went straight through school. And
Okay.
I was the client rights officer for the Cuyahoga County Adams Board, which stands for Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Board, for 19
Mm.
years, where I
Okay.
had the opportunity to advocate and represent people with behavioral health issues.
Yes.
And that's kind of where I got my idea for my books. Because during my journey, I learned that there were numerous people who just had a lot of stigma related to mental health. And
Mm.
that's a real problem in our community, where, in particular, in minority communities, where
Yes.
being mentally ill or having a mental health issue is just something that we don't talk about, something that we don't recognize, and it helps to contribute to tragedies. So, what I
Mm.
wanted to do is to use my novels and to use my educational background and experience to help change what's happening in our world and to raise awareness and eradicate stigma. But I want to
Mm.
entertain you at the same time because nobody just wants to be lectured. People want to be
Right.
entertained.
Right. Yeah. You want to mix in a little bit of fun where appropriate, and then tie that into your larger mission and your message. So we definitely get you there. And you're so sorry to hear with your friend. I had a friend that for a different reason. When I was a freshman, matter of fact, around that same age, is interesting. My freshman year in high school, there was a friend, John Stone, that was playing with some friends. And here in Memphis, we don't live far from the Pinto Farm and kind of there's the county jail area. And him and some friends were playing with a firearm, and that firearm went off and struck him. And that happened during the holiday break. So coming back from the holiday break, well, where's John? And there was an announcement made on the intercom. I'll never forget that the principal made the announcement that John had been killed. And man, it just that hit me. And it wasn't my first time experiencing that, unfortunately. But that just kind of hit me for I'd just been around him like right before we let out for the holiday break. And yeah, so my heart goes out to you. But I love how you channeled that, Mrs. Winston, into your life's work, and how you're sharing with others on how to deal and just how important mental health is. Let me ask you this, because mental health as a subject has gotten more awareness in these
Yes,
last few years.
yes,
Um, how do you kind of balance the authenticity of the mental health awareness versus sometimes what can be propaganda or kind of marketing around it? Because our country, unfortunately, and this is my opinion, has a history of taking subjects and kind of propping them up and creating misdirection, misinformation, and propaganda around it, and making it kind of the it thing. as opposed to allowing the people who are authentically in it, who study it and are part of it, to kind of flourish. And so I think sometimes people it gets cloudy, and sometimes I think we have to demystify that a little bit. What do you say to that? What are your thoughts on how we keep it authentic as we help people through what are very real issues that people have from a mental health standpoint?
That's a really complicated question. I want to do my
That's
best to
what I like
answer
to do.
it. But I think that one of the things we need to do to keep it authentic is to keep this on everybody's lips. We need to continue to talk about it. We need to continue to share our stories. We need to continue to take the stigma out of this. This is not a taboo subject. We as a community have made it a taboo subject. And what we need to understand for minority communities is we have good reasons why we've had issues with the health systems that we've been part of. And you know what? Once we acknowledge that helps us move forward. So there have been some tragedies. There have been some travesties that have occurred in our communities. And you know what? We were told, you seem like you might be close to my age. We're not going to say how old I am. We're not going to say how old I am.
Close.
Because,
Close.
We don't want to do that because I'm a lady,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we know. 30, 31, 32.
That's right. That's how old I am. Okay. But at the end of the day, we have to really do better as a community about keeping it real and talking about this. But we also need to acknowledge that there have been things that have happened to our community. I was always told by, my family, and I'm sure you were too, you don't go out there and be telling people your business.
Correct.
You don't be out there telling our family business to nobody. Why did we used to say that? Because those things that we might say were used against us.
Correct.
And there were people who were over our communities or dealing with our communities who didn't have an understanding of our communities. So, example, maybe when we used to spank our children, somebody else might say that's abuse. But to some in minority communities, that's how we kept our kids safe. Because if our kids did something, that could get us all hurt. So what we did was when our kids, when we tell you to jump, you should be saying hi.
Right.
Just so we can protect our families. So, but what we need to understand is that we're evolving. We will continue to evolve, and that we need to, get rid of the stigma in this subject. It is something, mental health is part of health. So one of the things that we used to love to say at the Adams Board is mental health is healthcare too. And we need to remember that. So you're not going to have good physical health if you have bad mental health. Correct. You're going to be stressed out. You're going to have blood pressure issues, if you're not dealing with your mental health. And so what I want to do is to use my novels and to use my education and experience to help get people to understand it's okay. It's okay to not be okay sometimes, in particular in the middle of a pandemic. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so let's stay on that because, as the pandemic has come about, right? And we're 18 months or so into, what we know to be this current pandemic with coronavirus and that sort of thing, Mrs. Winston, talk about the impact and how important mental health is from that standpoint, because this is that word unprecedented has been tossed around a lot with these current times, and it's difficult for people, right? It's difficult to navigate what's true and what's not. As it relates to it, the impact that it's had on people individually and as families and all the different things. And it seems like in many ways it's starting to kind of thaw out a little bit. But in other ways, there's still, other strands and things like that are popping up and other issues, right? And so what are some things that we should be mindful of around our mental health as we go through these kind of more trying times?
Well, first off, I think we should acknowledge that the number one probably mental health issue that most people have is anxiety. And that has been just really off, the charts with this pandemic. It's a sense of, you don't know what's going to happen next. It's uncertain. And I think that that helps to contribute to anxiety. Further, a lot of us have been isolated during this pandemic. We were told to stay at home, to stay in your bubble. And and people did that. You know what I mean? They tried to. For a lot of us, that have been forced to be out in the community during this pandemic, you have the anxiety of catching COVID or a family member catching COVID. And that helps to contribute to negative mental health. I think that the best thing we can do as a community is to continue to talk about it, to continue to acknowledge our feelings. I think pushing your feelings down helps to create some of the problems that we see. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to feel a certain type of way. Anybody would. I know a number of people who've died from COVID.
Yes.
So
absolutely, I do.
And then one of the themes in my book is sickle cell anemia, and part of my journey is when I was 8, my father passed away from sickle cell anemia, and I now have a child who was 21 with sickle cell disease. And, as a parent, I'm afraid, anybody would be. I'm afraid of my daughter catching that. I was afraid of being the weakest link and bringing COVID into my house and my daughter catching it. And she has a compromised immune system. So I think that part of what we need to do is to continue to, again, talk about these things and demand certain things too. We have to demand things as a community. And I think that's what's different from today that wasn't there when me and you were young is now we have words for how people are feeling. Okay.
Yes.
So
it's true. That's true.
We probably were having anxiety too.
Yes.
We call it that. We call it something else. We were nervous.
We had a much limited vocabulary around how to identify some of our ills in the past, and we've been able to expand that vocabulary, and I think by helping to expand the vocabulary, it's helped us be able to expand the definition, and then to be able to recognize it more, and then seek the treatments and things like that. And I loved your point about demand. Right, as a community, we have to instill the right leadership, and then once you have that infrastructure, then you can begin making and have commonalities in what you are demanding, and then be able to go and demand that and have some type of leverage with that, whether that's economic leverage or social, attention, leverage, whatever that is, right? So I think that's the next evolution in our communities, and I think in our lifetimes, I think we'll get a chance to see as younger generations come in behind us with a little bit different view of the world and a little bit different starting block on that relay race. As batons are being handed off, I think you're going to see this younger generation run a little bit faster and a little bit more intense.
And I'm glad because you know what, we're doing a good job with helping our kids to feel empowered. Yes. And to teaching them, things that we didn't have the chance and opportunity to basically do when we were younger. And also, I want to just make a point that watching people die daily on television isn't helping. When we see our police forces, we see people who look like us being killed. Right. It's difficult. And that also really does contribute to negative mental health. A lot of us are dealing with that. And we need to demand certain things from our police force. Now, I want to be very candid and very transparent. Yes. I grew up with a police officer. My stepfather was a Cleveland police officer. He passed away last summer from COVID. And so the way that I see the police might be different than the way other people see the police because I grew up with the policeman. And we need to, balance all of that. And that's what is really important. I love to say this. When things go wrong in our community, you don't call Ghostbusters, you call 911. And they don't come. You are very upset. As a taxpayer, when I call 911, they better get to my house. Okay.
Right. With the swiftness.
Right. But but when we're dealing with mental health, that becomes a double-edged sword. If I'm having a mental health emergency and I call the police, will they kill me? So what we need to do is we need to demand as a community that our police force be trained in crisis intervention so that when they come, they're not harming us. We need to understand that police are trained a certain way. They are trained to stop crime. And they don't just shoot you in the leg, they shoot to kill. That's what they're trained to do.
Yes.
And so what we need to do is to balance that. If we're having an emergency, somebody's not well, they're sick, they don't know what they're doing, should we be killing them? No, we should probably be getting people who can help them. But we're put in a situation as a community because when you have a relative who's dealing with this, you don't know what to do. You're afraid to call the police. Right. And as a community, we need to demand that our systems put together something where we have mental health professionals going out, assisting, so that we can save our community. And then, we don't want to see this on the news. Watching this every day, that George Floyd situation was very harmful. A lot of us were traumatized by that. We saw this every day. It made our children scared. You always want your kids to be able to call the people who they need if there's an emergency.
Absolutely.
So this is really difficult. We need to figure this out as a community. And again, it's a demand. We are taxpayers. The police work for us. We don't work for them.
Right.
I guess they're people.
And Ms. Bliss, you touched on a point that I've touched on it on several different episodes. I'm so glad you said that. And I take kind of a workforce corporate view on this as an analogy. We are hiring managers. We hire. Right. So you think, and I think one of our challenges are many of us don't reach that that place in our lives and on our jobs. We're always tend to be at the mercy of those type of folks. And so it's hard for us to conceptualize that that's the role that we play. But, we have to start thinking as a hiring manager does. When you hire the police chief, you have an agenda for him or her, right? Yes. And if they don't carry out that's what other ethnicities do with their folks. Right. They take care of them. They give them their agenda, whatever that agenda is. Right, wrong, righteous, however you judge that is another conversation. But they give them their agenda, and you follow this agenda. In the event that you choose not to, or you don't have the capacity to, we change you. So it's something that I've learned all the time. It's they change the people, or they change the people.
That's right.
Right. And so, but we tend to just kind of fall in line because we tend to get our attention diverted to other things in the community or certainly outside of our community. And like you said, we've got to bring that in, and we've got to feel empowered that we're the hiring managers. These things don't just happen just because, when election times come and even before election time, we've got to get involved. We can't just wait until just the high profile elections come and think that because we participated in the US president election, that's it. We've got to get involved in these local, elections. We've got to hire our own people. Like hiring managers hire the people they want.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like they don't just accept, well, these are the only people that applied. No, if the people that applied ain't the people that you want, they cut it. What do? They go get a whole nother batch of applicants.
That's right. We do a national search.
Yeah,
when we can't find somebody in a local search, we do a national search.
Without question. You hit the nail on the head. And so what we got to do is we got to start grooming our people. We got to start preparing them. When we want to have police chiefs, we want to have mayors, we want to have aldermen, city council men, city council women, county commissioners, all those type of things. We got to start grooming those people. And it's got to be an agenda of the people, right? That's a common, kind of thing, agenda of the people, economic, social empowerment, childhood development, mental health, all those things have to be included, right? Higher education, jobs, entrepreneurship, all those things have to be wrapped in this bundle. Community edification, infrastructure repair, all these things have to be bundled up. We groom our people, and I'll use me as an example. Chat Ron, here's your agenda. We'll go take care of you. We'll take care of your family. Here's your agenda. All right. This is agenda of the people. If you get out of line with this, We're going to
Goodbye.
change. We're going to change the person, and we're grooming the other person. Because
That's
when
right.
you're grooming, you've got Ron in place, but you've got who's coming behind Ron, and then who's coming behind that person. And so if Juliana is coming behind Ron, we're getting Juliana ready now. We're not waiting until Ron say or do something stupid, or Ron gets term limited or whatever. We're doing it now. Yeah, you feel
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? And so to
And
your point, I love that.
I think that part of what it happens is that so many of us are just trying to do basic survival. We're just trying to make it day to day. So that what happens is we're distracted from what you just talked about. We're distracted on trying to make it every day. We're trying to put food on our tables, keep roofs over our children. And what happens is we miss sometimes that those elections, those local offices, those, we don't have the people in place, like you said. Those are the most important elections. Yes, it's wonderful for national elections, but you know what? You got to elect people in your community who are going to take care of those type of issues for you. And so therefore we need to vote. That's a really big deal. We had people die so that we can vote. And we need to make that very serious for our young people, that they understand what it means. And they understand that when you vote, that's your hiring. That's how you hire somebody. And if you don't vote.
I love that. We had to get the air horn on. We had to get the air horn on that now. Come on now.
You're scared me. Champ Brown is scared me. I'm like, what?
Yeah, we had to get the air horn on that now. Right. Come on now.
We have to vote.
Stand up to attention.
That's right. You know what? We have to vote. That is one of the most important pieces for us. We had people die so we can vote. For my grown children, I make it a point. We all vote. And you know what? We have these debates in my household. We do it as a block. We're going to decide as a community, look, as a family, who we voting for. If I vote for somebody, if me and you are married, and I vote for one candidate and you vote for the other, we just canceled our votes out.
Right.
So what we need to do is be a voting block.
That's the unity that takes place. When you groom your own, you have that, right?
That's right.
When you don't, and you just accept what's given to you, and you just say, well, here's what your choices are. And then now now you start getting into, you have different cares. People have different views of what should be done. And, to your point, when we groom our own, now that's where you get the unity. And then that's what gets community.
That's right.
That's where you transform from an area, not just where a bunch of Black folk live. Now you become a community.
That's right. Absolutely.
There's a difference between the two. And the former, I fear, is where we kind of got into over these last few decades. We transformed from community to just collections of where we have homogenous areas of us living there, Black and brown folk. And we've got to get back to not just it's not community just because all of us live there.
That's right.
It's community when we have ownership there, we're grooming our own.
That's right.
And we have to be recognized because, we're not just having a seat at the table. We bring our table. So
that's right. Table, absolutely. And the chairs. Don't forget that, Champ Ron. Bring the chairs too.
Yeah, with one of them little cushion things on it too.
That's right.
Make it comfortable.
That's right.
Novelist JJ Winston is our guest today here on episode 272 of the Mind Your Business podcast. Don't forget www.novelistjjwinston.com. Mrs. Winston, let's get into the books.
Yes.
So the anniversary,
yes.
Which I love that title. And by the way, here's what I'm going to do, MYB, before we get into some questions here. I'm going to go from a leadership standpoint. I'm going to go in right after this podcast and purchase both books. I encourage you, we're going to talk about both books, the anniversary and the commemoration. Make sure I say that correctly. Yes. You want to go in and purchase both. Don't play with this now. Go purchase both. Okay.
And I got a workbook too. Get all three of them. You can get a deal. Yeah. I got a book bundle. It's right on my website. You get all three.
And order it. Yeah. And I want to encourage you, order it from the website. Order it from the website. Amazon got enough traffic. Order it from the website, novelistjjwinston.com. Make sure you go there and place your order with the workbook, everything. Just go get everything. Don't even think about it. Just get everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, folks do a lot of thinking.
Right. Don't think too much.
Do like y'all do when y'all go into other folks' stores. Y'all don't think y'all just y'all just grab it and go to the checkout aisle. Our people do.
That's right.
Let's talk about the anniversary. Well, what, inspired you for that? That was kind of your first book, right?
Yes, it was my first novel. It was
Yeah.
released in 2017.
Okay.
Some interesting tidbits about it. It took me years to write. It was a short story that I let somebody read, a writer, and they said I should turn it into a novel. And I
Okay.
did.
Gotcha.
Um, and what I wanted to do was I wanted to talk about loss and grief and tragedy and how that
Mm.
can have an impact on your mental health.
Yes.
My main character my main characters are dealing with an anniversary. And when we think about anniversaries, we always think about good stuff. We think about
Yes.
marriage anniversaries and sorority and fraternity anniversaries and all that fun stuff.
Yes, we do.
There are a lot of bad negative anniversaries too. And what happens is that if there's something that's a negative anniversary for you, you're probably the only one who knows about it. But
Yes.
like 9/11 is a good example. 9/11 is an anniversary that's negative, that's collective for the people who live in the United States of America. When we hear
True.
September 11th, we think about the towers falling, we think about the crashes with the planes. And I wanted to really do something that dealt with that. I feel
Mm.
that my characters are just a combination of the number of the hundreds of thousands of people I've dealt with over my career. And I try to
Yes.
take some of what I saw with the people that I've worked with and try to put it in this novel in an entertaining way, but with the goal of basically raising awareness about mental health
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and about trauma, because I believe that trauma plays a major role to mental health. And that goes back to what we were talking
Yes.
about with George Floyd. When you
Mm-hmm.
see somebody die on TV, that's traumatizing.
It
That
is.
impacts our mental health. And I just wanted to really, explore
Yes.
how trauma impacts our mental health. And if we could try to reduce trauma, in particular for our children, maybe what we can do is reduce mental health.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting how you tie that all in together in the novel, and presenting it in that fashion with characterization and that sort of thing just adds to the creativity. And like you mentioned earlier, you're able to instill some lighthearted kind of fun within that, to kind of blend in with the serious nature of the message. And so I look forward to reading that. And I pulled up the website, and you've got these. I mean, people have no excuse. Y'all should go ahead. I just pulled up the bundle. Um, Come on now,
Thank you.
y'all need to just go ahead. I mean, $57.95, and you're getting the entire bundle. Let's go ahead and make that happen, MYB. Some of y'all go spend more on that at the bar today. So why don't y'all instead of them drinking, some of y'all go buy 2 drinks and spend that. So let's go
We're at
ahead
the
instead
good
of them 2
club.
drinks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some of y'all this weekend, y'all coming off. Well, no, some of these folk coming off the 4th now, so
That's
yeah,
right.
they might keep it a little light. They blast on them fireworks. But let's go ahead and be supportive. So I've got it pulled up so I can go ahead and get it kind of popping on my end. But let's go ahead and just get the bundle when you go to the website, novelistjjwinston.com. Just do that. So I love what you mentioned on that, and kind of overcome. And when you think of anniversaries, you're right. There's there's and many people, I think, depending on what they've experienced, have those good and bad anniversaries.
Mhm.
There's some people dealing with the anniversary of mother transitioning life,
That's right.
daddy transitioning life,
Mhm.
a child, things like that. So you have
Yes.
those life transitions. There's work, people, I always share on the business side, I always remember the day and time when I got let go of from my last job, my last time in the workforce. So there's all these transitions, and oftentimes holidays manifest those even different,
Right.
or highlight those
Right.
anniversaries, or the days that come about with that. And so I love that you deal with that, from that novel piece. So I'm really looking forward to reading that,
Thank you.
Mrs. Winston, and getting involved there, and then also sharing it with other family members. I think that's the other thing I want to encourage you, MYB community. Don't just hoard this information. So y'all run out and buy it, right? But don't just get one for yourself and just keep it to yourself. Don't say nothing. Have it with your family. Do a book club. That's one thing I think would be good, is do a book club and reach out
And
to
I'll
novelist
come.
Winston. Yeah, reach out to
Reach
novelist
out. I'll
Winston.
come and
Yeah,
speak to your book club. I love book
yeah,
clubs. I love to talk with them. My
yeah.
second book, The Commemoration, is a continuation of
Yes.
the
Let's deal
story.
with that. Mm.
And what I did in the second book is I introduced two new things besides just the mental health. I introduced sickle cell. That is very
Mm-hmm.
personal to me, just so that everybody understands why it's so personal. I lost my grandmother, my
Mm.
father,
Yes.
two aunts, an uncle. I have a daughter with sickle cell disease. I have a great niece with sickle cell disease. I have a niece with sickle cell disease and a great nephew with sickle cell disease. And I feel that it's an important topic, in particular to minority communities. There are a lot of people who don't realize that they're carriers. My husband did not know he was a carrier. I mean, of course, I know a lot about it. My husband knew nothing about it. And
Yes.
and our daughter, wind up being, a sickle cell disease. She has SCD, and she's been
Mm-hmm.
dealing with this, for many years. I also introduced the human trafficking thing. I think
Mm.
it's very important. It is a big,
Yes.
big deal in our country. It is the new modern day slavery. People need to
Mm-hmm.
understand that human trafficking is slavery. Slavery is not over. It exists.
Facts.
It's here
Absolutely.
right now. And what we need to do is to help our children, help our community by being aware of it. In Ohio, we're like number 4 in the country for human
Mm.
trafficking, because
Wow.
we have a lot of ways to get out of our country, out of our state and up to
Yes.
Canada very easily. You can go 5 different directions out of our state. And
Yes.
it makes it a really big deal. And I just think that we need to raise awareness about it. So I'm trying to use my novels to raise awareness and to make us better as a community, to give resources, and to know that if you are dealing with this issue, you are not alone. There's a lot of people. But if your kid is a victim of human trafficking, oftentimes you're not talking to anybody about it.
Mm-hmm.
We need to make sure people know that this happens.
Yes.
I can get on the soapbox, Champ Ryan, so
Oh,
I'll slow
absolutely.
down
No,
right here
no,
now.
because no, that because that's real. That's all there. That's real right there. What we're talking about, and I love that. I love books and series like that where you build off the original theme, and when you think about that, the commemoration, right? You think of those words. Think about the anniversary, and then the commemoration, right? And so just right off the top, you think about how you're transitioning, not just a storyline, but the themes, right? And you're introducing new themes and building on characterization and how characters evolve and how they view the world and how they view the world, evolves as they evolve and how situations arise and how they deal with that. And I think one of the great things about that you find in great novels and, we find that in TV and movies, the great ones, is that you find pieces of yourself and you
Right.
resonate with certain characters,
I
and
think
that sort
people
of thing.
will. They will. They'll
Yeah.
see themselves in my characters, and you will also put yourself in a position. What would you do if faced with the very
Mm.
same situation? And presently, I'm working on my third novel. It's called The Revelation.
No, come on, no. You laid it too heavy on us right now. See, we got to have you come back for the revelation now, because
That's right.
that's a
I would
whole
love
nother
to come
podcast.
back. And I
Yeah,
hope
that's a whole
Oprah's
nother
listening
podcast.
right now. I want Oprah to read my books. That's one
Yes.
of, everybody should have a bucket list of life. I got that from Oprah. When I was very
Mm-hmm.
young, I watched her show, and she talked about how everybody should have 100 things on their to-do list in life. And I've been checking mine off. And
There
that's what
you
I'm
go.
hoping people are doing with COVID. If you know what, when COVID is over, we should all be going back and evaluating, what did you do with your COVID time? I
Mm.
wrote a book, and I wrote a
Yeah.
I wrote a behavioral health manual too. I've been doing it.
I love that. And so, so Miss Oprah, if you are watching, or Stedman or anybody else over there in the Oprah camp, let's make sure that you communicate with novelist JJ Winston. So make sure if you and if Oprah, you happen to be listening to this podcast or watching it, because I know you do.
That's right. That's right, Oprah.
So we're gonna talk big. So we're
That's
gonna speak.
my
Hey,
Aquarius
everybody.
sister.
Yeah,
We're both
Oprah.
Aquariuses.
Yes, absolutely. We're glad to have you, Oprah. We appreciate you listening. We're gonna go ahead and put that in there now. So when we have her as a guest, and me and you talking to her, we could go back and say we appreciate you been listening, and you read the anniversary, read the commemoration, you're on the revelation, and you've been sharing it with your audience. So we appreciate that in advance.
That's right. Thank you.
Mrs. Winfrey.
Right.
We thank her in advance.
That's right.
Novelist JJ Winston, again, is our guest today, episode 272 of the Minding Your Business podcast. And so we look forward to the revelation when it's released. And you have to let us know when that is so we can share that with the community, quite frankly, so that they can get the pre-orders going and things like that. So
right.
Very important that we get that going. So listen, I've had a tremendous conversation here with our guest today, y'all. This has been really good. So Novelist Winston, as we kind of wrap up, because you've shared some great jewels today, we've got a chance to learn about your background, about the books, and books that are coming, and how to be able to connect with you. And I'd like to encourage you all, if you put a book club together and you let Novelist Winston know ahead of time. Y'all don't put the book club together and then now and then want her to be there in 5 minutes. Now y'all be respectful.
That's right. Let me know, but I'll come.
Yeah,
I'll work with you.
Lead time. Yeah, there you go.
And what I want to do in conclusion too, I know you got to get ready to get me off of here, but I want people to know that I also put out a monthly newsletter. It's called Winning with, what did I say? It's Winning with Wisdom. Okay. It is a free newsletter. If you go on my website, you can sign up and you'll get a copy of my newsletter. We put it out every month. It has a whole lot of good information. Absolutely. So in addition to go ahead, when you're on the site, go ahead and do that. What Novelist Winston was just mentioning, go ahead and get signed up. It's probably just your email address. So that costs you nothing. Go ahead and get the newsletter. Because what we were talking earlier, it's about that support. How we unify is through support. And we have to do that by taking action. Not just talking about it, but we have to talk about it and then we have to take action. One of the ways you can take action is doing just those simple things. It don't take no effort for y'all to go to the website and go ahead and get signed up with the newsletter and then purchase the bundle. And then that way you're all set. You're done. Don't take you no time. And so I'm doing that just to show leadership. And I'm going to send that screenshot over because we're not going to be capping now. We're going to be, we're not going to be, pulling no wool and none of that type of stuff. So I'm going to send, Novelist Winston the screenshot so that she'll see that and know that it was real. So listen, I can't thank you enough for taking time out to be here on the podcast. Definitely appreciate your spirit, appreciate your work. The impact that you're having. And I think you're having more of an impact than you may even realize, as people hear you and as they read. Because that's one of the things about today's world, like we were talking earlier, is you never know. I have people that reach out to me from other countries about this podcast. I'm almost, next month I'll make 4 years. That I've been doing this podcast. And I get people from other countries, Mrs. Winston, that, share with me great feedback. And I appreciate it all, good, bad, ugly. I welcome it all. People have been, shared with me, their thoughts on things they'd like to see. And it's like anything, you take the meat in and spit out the bones. But, that's right. But we learn from it. We'll take those criticisms and we'll do better. Absolutely. And some things that I've been able to improve on the podcast as a result of that. So I just make that point that as we continue to evolve and things like that, share that feedback and connect again with our guest today, novelist JJ Winston. Do that at novelist JJ Winston on social media, on Facebook and Instagram. And those are just ways that we can all support. And if we do that and we keep building, it'll take a little bit of time. Right. Don't get discouraged by those that's not quite on board today. Things take time. Just focus on those that are. And the other ones will come along in their due time. It's infrastructure building right now. Right now, we're infrastructure building. And you know what, Champ Ryan, it has been just a pleasure to talk with you today. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
I
absolutely. We're
appreciate
so
it so
glad to
much.
have you, thank you. And again, Olivia Mongrove was the one that connected us. And see, that's part of building the unity too. Is and someone like her sees enough trust and confidence, in us to be able to link us together to have this conversation. This happened because of her, and so again, want to make sure you're supporting Olivia Mongrove. She's a tremendous resource for you, whether you're building your personal brand and/or a business brand. She's really dynamic and can really help you and help link great people together. So listen, blessings to you and your family, to Mr. Winston, to your daughters. I have daughters, and that's why I really resonate with you. I have 3 daughters. My oldest is 11. And so we got a little ways to go. I'm still cool. I'm still a cool
That's
dad
right.
for
You're
a
gonna
little
stay
bit. I
cool
got a
too.
couple more years.
Hey, my daughter is my youngest. I actually have a son who's an adult and 2 stepsons that are an adult, and I
Okay.
have 4 grandchildren. So
There you
this good
go.
chocolate ain't breaking. As they say, this good black don't
There you
crack.
go. Yeah,
So I'm
man.
looking
Don't melt.
younger, I'm trying.
It don't melt at all. You keep going. And so I definitely love that. And so, listen, Novelist Winston, thank you again so much. Again, blessings to you and your family. And let's remain connected because as the revelation gets released, we want to have you back to be
Excellent. I
able to
would love to
talk
come
about
back.
it. So let's make sure we stay on Olivia, that we get you back on the schedule, when it makes sense for you. And let's have and continue that conversation. And then let's go ahead and speak that when we get Oprah on here, we're going to
That's
make sure
right.
we have you as well so that, we can, get her straight.
She needs to know. She needs to know about minding your business, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She needs to know about everything that's going and direct us in the right way, introduce us to
That's
a few
right.
folk, and let's really get this thing going. So, novelist JJ Winston again is our guest today, episode 272 of the Minding Your Business podcast. Again, make sure, and it's in the show notes, go to www.novelistjjwinston.com. That's where you need to go. Get signed up with the bundle, get signed up with the newsletter. Make sure you do that MYB community. I really appreciate it. Don't forget about me, champ10k.com. I'd love to be able to hear from you. You can email me there. You've got my phone number. You can call, text me. I'd love to be able to hear from you. And listen, there's 3 things that unite us, no matter where you're from, no matter what side of the tracks you're from. We all want to be a little better for ourselves, a little better for our families, and a little better for our communities. And if we can keep that in mind with everybody that we meet, we can all collectively make this place a little bit better. Remember, look at your circle, change the people or change the people. All right.
That's right.
Champ Ron, the Minding Your Business podcast. Thank y'all so much for being a part of what we have going and continue to support the podcast. We're going to be back with another great episode. Entrepreneurship, trending news, real estate. There's still no business like minding your own. Listen, y'all go be great. And we're going to see you next time. All right. All right. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. That was a really great episode. That was a really good conversation. Very concise. I mean, I just love your energy, your passion for what you do. And we were able to pack in a lot of great information in a fairly concise amount of time.
I appreciate that so much, Champ. I'm looking forward to coming back on your show in the future. I'm still working on the revelation. It takes some time to write a book. And my first book is 405 pages. I guess I had a lot to say.
You got it. And you know what needs to happen now? There needs to be you got to have the name for your podcast. You got to get the podcast going.
You know what? Everybody tells me that. They used to always tell me I should be on the radio. But most people tell me I should be a comedian because I have this really good sense of humor.
And see, all that makes for a really good podcast. You should really consider, blending in a lot of your personality and what you do in the podcast field, because it's really going to help. It's going to balance out with the books. Right.
It just is. I have so little time, Champ Brown. I'm barely holding on.
You know what? Here's what you do. I got this little device right here.
Oh, That's
this is what
nice.
our
What
podcast
is
is
it?
from. It's called a Zoom pod track.
Oh,
It's really compact, and this is why I record to. So I have you on Zoom, and that's how I was putting in the music and all this type stuff, just with this little
oh
simple
wow.
device, and it's mobile, right? So I've got this little piece right here has you in my Bluetooth.
Oh wow.
So you're
You know
just
what?
on
I'm
my
gonna be
cell phone.
honest. Technology is not my thing. Can you tell?
Well, no, but see, here's the thing. Your people get you all, they can help you get you set up. But this little device here was, $200.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and then I've got the microphone just plugged into it and my headphones. And
Oh
so
wow.
you're on my phone on Zoom. And then I just record. I just hit a button, and I can play the little sound pad music stuff on this, and I can adjust the
Oh wow.
audios and all that. It's very, very simple. But
Maybe one day I'll be looking
yeah,
at that. But you know what? I don't want to take away from what you're doing. I want to come be on your show
no,
with you.
well, no, you know what? I can come be on yours, and so can other folk. And there's
Okay.
plenty of space. Like you say, when we all bring tables, we end up
That's
having a little
right. We got to
restaurant.
bring the chairs too, though.
Yeah, tables,
Okay.
chairs, and everything. We have our own little restaurant. You got tables and chairs.
That's
Everybody's
right.
got it, but we're all under one roof. And
That's
so
right.
we'd love to. You would be great for the podcast space. I guess that's my point. And so,
Oh well,
um,
thank you so much. I'm one day we'll look into it. I'm gonna be candid. I'm right now. I'm barely holding on. My daughter.
oh,
She's
I
doing a
know.
little bit better, but she has been very ill. She's a senior in college
Mm,
now, which is a really
yes,
big deal with her condition. We've been
absolutely. Yeah,
holding her together.
absolutely.
She goes to Ohio State. And
Okay,
so I just got a whole bunch of
Columbus.
different things. Yep, Columbus. I live in Cleveland, so I'll go and see
Yeah.
her. But she's there now. But it's just been a lot going on. But I'm holding on. You are
Yeah.
awesome.
Well. Yeah,
Thank
no,
you
well,
so
I
much.
appreciate that. And definitely, blessings and wishes to her, and congratulations to her on her senior year, and
Yes, let's get her
what
done
she
so I can get some
embarked.
of my money back, Champron. See, you don't know about this yet, but you're gonna find out.
Oh,
Okay.
I listen, my folk are 11, 10, and 8 going on
Ooh,
9. So,
I heard you went on
I'm under.
vacation. I heard one of your podcasts where you were saying you went to Disney World with your children.
We did. And the biggest gangsters in Florida is Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck them. You talking about some folk with some money.
I know that's
Ain't
right.
nobody in Florida got money like Mickey Mouse and Minnie
That's
Mouse
right.
now. Them folk down there. Oh my god. Mickey Mouse said you bottle of water for $4.50.
I know that's ridiculous, ain't
Ain't
it?
even
But your
and
kids
ain't
were
no
so
water.
happy, weren't they?
Oh, they loved it. Not a water fountain in sight.
I know.
Only
I've
water
been there
you
with my
getting.
kids. And you know what? I took my daughter and we took her to Universal Studios, and she doesn't like things. She doesn't do well on virtual rides. So the
Uh-huh.
first ride, we didn't know that. The first ride we went on, and then she got sick and said, "I want to go home." I said, "The hell we are. We just spent all this money. You about to go to Universal Studios. You about to ride every ride. Pull it together, girl." Okay, so
That when you put that
you want
kind
to
of
go
money up on it.
home? We
Oh,
in
want to
look,
go home. No.
we in Florida. No, we not going home. We about to go
No,
on
ain't no
another
going
ride.
home. No. We go on another ride. No, no.
Right.
Not when Goofy got all my money like that. No.
That's right.
Yeah, as much money I pay Goofy. No,
That's
you ain't
right.
getting
That's
tickets
right.
out
We
of
gonna be
Goofy now.
goofy together. We're goofy. Okay.
You're
Champ Ryan,
exactly
you are
right.
just awesome. You got
Yeah,
a
so
beautiful disposition. Thank you
I
so much for
appreciate that.
having me as one of your guests. I
Yeah,
can't wait till
absolutely. I
next
appreciate it.
time.
Yep, absolutely. Let's do it next time. Remain definitely in touch. Novelist space.
Excellent.
So
You sign up for my newsletter too, my virtual
yeah.
assistant, to get it right
Oh,
to
of
you.
course. Yeah, I got to do that. Of course. Yeah, I've already got it pulled up.
Thank you
That's the
so
thing. See,
much.
these folks. See, I got the thing pulled up.
Yay. Right. I saw
I'm
you
just ready to
doing
pull the
that.
trigger. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes,
I saw
I try to
you. I
do
was
it on
like, I
the
see him
spot.
looking at something. So do you
Mm-hmm.
do this in your house?
I'm at home.
Oh,
Look,
wonderful. I thought it actually
look at
was
my.
oh, look at your little doggy.
Yeah,
What
you
kind of
see my
doggy is
coworker?
it?
He's a Cocker Spaniel, American Cocker Spaniel. You see my coworker sleeping on the job.
Oh, I think it said sleeping on the job.
Yeah,
We got to do
I
something
report.
about that.
Yeah, see, I report to HR. Don't nothing happen.
That's right. So you've been doing this for your living since you left your
I've
job?
been, yeah, I've been doing. I'm at home. See, with this little device, see, I can go anywhere.
That is so wonderful. I love
See,
it.
it's
That's
mobile.
called
So see,
pivoting right there. That's how you
see,
pivot.
I'll have this with me. I'll be at a conference and I'll meet somebody and I say, hey, you want to do your quick podcast? I'll pull it. They be like, well, where's your studio? What studio? We can do it right here.
That is wonderful.
And so I've done stuff at conferences. I've been out. I've gone to people's businesses and done them live and that sort of thing. But a lot of them I do from right here at home.
And you know
so
what the problem is for me is that I'm a magistrate judge and we got all of these rules. I got to go and research every rule because, you know, look at me looking like this. And, you know, my judge is the first African-American judge in the history of this court. She didn't even get elected to 2017. This court's been here over 100 years. And she's the first one. She hired all African-American females. You know, everybody ain't happy about it. No, they always trying to find a way to mess with us. You know how it is.
Oh, yeah. You know, yeah. Don't even get me started.
Right. So I'll be like, I ain't going to get him no ammunition. Like they ain't going to look, you might not like it, but it's going to be hard to get me. I'm pretty slippery.
Yeah. There you go. I love it. I love that.
You know.
Yeah, I love that. So, you know, they say, I really appreciate this. This has been great to meet you. I'm gonna tell Liv. I just love novelist Winston. We're gonna have her back. Let's go ahead and get her on the schedule when the revelation drop. We will be the first.
That's gonna be a while for it drop. I'm like on chapter 4. We need about another 20 chapters, 25 chapters.
Whenever that is, I don't care when it is.
I'm working on it.
We want to be on that.
You know what? It's just like you just gotta make time, and I've been making time. Look at that. Thank you. So look at that. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, so we done. And make sure it's the right website now. So
that's right. That's the right website.
Nobody else website.
That's right.
So that's what we want to do, and I want to encourage others to do the same. To do.
Thank you so much. And they can pass my newsletter around. It's free. I want people to pass it around, and I'm just trying to make us do better as a community, not be scared. Or scared, as we like to say.
Right. There you go. And let me go ahead because I'm signing up for that now as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Look at that.
So we got that. Subscribe to
cute picture of me in. I like that picture. See, I have to keep my hair back in the bun when I'm at work, But then I go home like that commercial, and like
wave it all around. See, I can't do that no more. I have these daughters. See, after the daughters of Mickey and Minnie got hold of me, see, my
I know that's right. You were lucky though. Your kids are lucky. They got to play with each other. What a good job. So you ain't having no more, huh?
No, we done. No.
Okay.
No. We had to get them folk and these.
And peace and blessing to your families too. You know that. And you know what? At the end of the day, having children is a beautiful thing. It's so hard. I feel sorry. Like for my granddaughter, her birthday's tomorrow. She turns 7. The world we live in now, we got to do better. Our kids deserve better than what we're giving.
That's true. So absolutely, you're exactly right, and we want to leave this place better, and that's the work that we have ahead of us. But as we embark on this and we're moving together, we can do just that. But
absolutely,
it's take us doing it together. So
that's right.
This is one of those steps to be able to do that, and so I greatly appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend.
I will. Thank you. I'm about to look. I'm glad it's Friday. I'm so glad I don't know what to do. So when would this air, Ron? Did it already air?
No, it hasn't aired yet. Probably on Monday. So I'm gonna shoot it
good.
over to you.
Yes, and then I'll have her put it. I'll wait till it airs before I have her put it on the YouTube page.
Perfect. That'll work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
All right. See you soon. Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.